Hello Knockouts, Tonya TKO here, and today we're going to be talking about B. Smith, her husband, and his girlfriend that he's moved into their home. For those of you who don't know, B. Smith has gotten Alzheimer's. She is not in her full complete mind anymore, and her husband has moved a woman into their house. This is a story that has come highly requested. This is a story that I wanted to talk about for the past month, but I was in the transition of going back and forth between New York and LA, etc. So now we're going to be talking about it. I'm going to show you two video clips, and then we're going to dissect these. Rather than me creating an entire video, I've already contacted Chronicle Speaks. I'm going to use her video inside this. We're going to watch her video, then we're going to break it down, and then I'm going to show you a news clip with B. Smith's own admission with how she feels about someone coming into her home to assist her. So let's get ready to do that. I am Tonya TKO. I am a self-love specialist and relationship expert from TonyaTKO.com. And on this channel, I help you learn how to love yourself and each other. And we use viral video stories to talk about self-loving or self-abusing through our relationships, as well as teachable moments for our own lives. So right now we're going to jump into this story. And I have to admit, there's a lot of conflicting and mixed feelings that are associated with this story, but I'm going to show you all the footage, and then I'm going to let you all decide how and where and what you feel about this, right? So also, make sure that you support me and my videos by, let me turn this down a little bit. Make sure that you support me and my videos by coming to my website, TonyaTKO.com, joining my mailing list over there. Inside the shop is a free MP3 for relaxation that you can download. I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and this MP3 assists you in alleviating the cumbersomeness of just having strain on you. And it helps you to relax and release. So go and get that. It's free for you when you join the mailing list. Download it. It'll give you the instructions on how to move forward. And then there are other ways to support me by buying other things in my shop or getting t-shirts from the link below. So let's jump into this footage.
Now, I ain't one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speak. Now, when I think of B. Smith, I remember her television show, B. Smith with Style, and how she was always so soft-spoken and had so much grace. She made cooking look fun. Now, B. Smith was born August 24th, 1949, and she's an American restaurateur, model, author, and television host. B. Smith graced several magazine covers and was the second black model to cover Mademoiselle magazine. She owned 3 restaurants and was brilliant in decor, and because of her sense of style, she developed a home collection with Bed Bath & Beyond, and in 2001 a furniture collection for Lazy Boy. Now, with what seems to be a very fulfilling life, her world shattered when she was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in 2013. Now, her husband of more than 20 years, Dan Gasby, whom she doesn't have any children with, but she did help him raise his one and only child, which was a girl, has not only been by her side during the good times of her career, but he's also become a full-time caregiver for her now. Now, the two even wrote a book to help people that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and the book is called Before I Forget: Love, Hope, Help, and Acceptance in Our Fight Against Alzheimer's. Now, Alzheimer's is a type of dementia that causes problems with memory, thinking, and behavior. Symptoms usually develop slowly and get worse over time, becoming severe enough to interfere with daily tasks. Speaking of daily tasks being interfered with, Bea and her family had quite a scare when she became missing in 2014.
Former model and restaurateur B. Smith, who has Alzheimer's and went missing last night.
She turned up today in Manhattan. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff was there when her frantic husband got the good news.
It's the best gift I could have. Just the thought of her not being around is... I'm speechless.
Dan Gasby was sick with worry. His wife, B. Smith, the famed restaurateur, designer, and model, never arrived at their Sag Harbor home last night. After 18 hours missing, their daughter phoned with heart-stopping good news.
She's in the city?
I'm just so happy I just want to hug her and I just want her back home.
65-year-old Smith found alive at La Parisienne restaurant with blisters on her feet after a night of wandering through brutal weather. She went public just months ago on the CBS Evening News with a troubling diagnosis, early onset Alzheimer's disease. The disease caused memory loss and confusion for years.
Do you know the date today? How about the year? And what does that feel like?
Things like that make me very sad.
Smith boarded the Hampton Jitney Tuesday afternoon on 59th Street. Gasby waited here in Sag Harbor, but she never arrived at their meeting point. He spent a frantic night and day on the phone with police amid reports of sightings in Southampton.
She has challenges, and she's never, she's not the typical person that walks off. She's the nicest human being in the world.
Her family has learned she never made it to Long Island. She got off a bus on 40th Street, somehow made it to Staten Island, then back to Manhattan, walking through the night. She has no memory of where she was.
Now in present day, B. Smith's condition worsens, but she still does interviews with her husband by her side, helping her out when she stumbles over words.
To find out what people are thinking and talking and we are going to the next,
level event.
Now at that point, he just seemed like the sweetest husband that was going to stay committed to the marriage vows that him and his wife had. But in December of this year, he posted a picture of this woman saying, to steal the title from 50 Cent in the game's Hate It or Love It, you can debate, but for me, I'm just feeling great. Life's too short to ask for a rebate, so I'm going to surf through life before it's too late. # why lie. The woman he posted is 53-year-old Alexandra Lerner. She's his life partner, let him tell it. Now, according to a post that he made last year, he said you can never really understand something unless you teach it or preach it. I now get 2 to 3 calls, texts, and instant message inquiries from guys specifically asking me, how do you deal with being lonely? I tell them honestly what I've experienced over the past 7 years. I tell them the impact of Alzheimer's starts well before you and your spouse get the actual diagnosis. I tell them the spectrum starts and can kaleidoscope from slight communication and misunderstanding to outright hatred. I tell them everyone has an opinion, but none of them have the scars and lashes to truly know the depth of the misery one deals with on a daily and, more important, minute-to-minute basis. Now, y'all, this is the part that got me. I tell them that their spouse is no longer a wife or mate, is no longer able to understand or help or give of themselves. You are alone with another human being who doesn't have any abilities to provide any real thought, inspiration, or motivation to you. It all has to be self-generating. Now, I'm not going to waste any more time reading what he said, but from what I read, all I heard was me, myself, and I. Now, he's speaking about how a spouse is no longer able to help or give themselves. Now, he has to think about her as well. I guarantee you she didn't choose this disease. If she could do anything about it, she definitely wouldn't be in this situation. Now, he's saying you are alone with a human being who doesn't have any ability to provide any real insight, inspiration, or motivation to you. This was a very strong, independent woman that loved to stay busy, that loved to have businesses, and she's unable to do any of that right now. So being trapped inside of herself at this present moment definitely isn't anything that she would want to go through, but it seems as if she's being blamed or something for having the disease. When you go through your marriage vows, they say for better or for worse, through sickness and in health, to death do us part. And it seems like he's really trying to omit the sickness part. He's sticking around and he's there, but it almost seems like a punishment to him. And then he brings this woman into the equation, Miss Alexandra Lerner. Now, you know I got receipts on Miss Alex, but before I get into that, let me read the post that he put up 3 hours ago. Welcoming in 2019 with B, Alex, and me. So kind of people who understand to death do you part doesn't mean cloistering yourself like a monk or living as a casualty of Alzheimer's. # American Hotel, # Sag Harbor, # Indalls, # living my best life, # why lie. # you could have kept your business to yourself, and he ends up getting mad when people chastise him for the way he's living. This isn't a reality show. You ain't got to put yourself out there like that unless you're getting paid for it. I don't care what he says. You're not going to make me think that B actually agreed in her right mind to live like this, to have this woman in her house that she worked for, that she paid for, I'm not falling for it. Now let me read you another quick Facebook post before we go into Mr. Alex Lerner. Now on December 18th, he said it's the repetition of totally irrational behavior that affects you the most. As a caregiver, the moment they awake, your heart sinks. No matter how much you love them, you know, like a sunrise, there's a hell rise. You gird yourself, you know there's something out of place or missing or broken or lost, but you have not yet found out exactly what it is. This is your day. You can't wait to leave them, and you can't wait to get back to them. You're glad to be with normal people even if you can't stand most of them, because you at least know you're fooling with functional people and believing they are okay. Laugh out loud. Fellow caregivers, have a good day. I know he's probably going through right now as a caregiver, but I do not like this situation one bit. If you're going to go off and do whatever you're doing, don't bring her to the home. And you're taking videos and pictures of everything else. Where's the video of B saying that this is the way she wanted to live? I'll wait. Now it's time for the look at this segment of the video. So this is where I come with the receipts. Now a lot of people thought that Miss Alexandra was some kind of socialite that was just trying to get up on his money. She didn't really have her own money. Well, I'll let y'all decide that for yourself. So she was first born Alexandra I. Latt. She married Mr. William Lerner. She had 2 kids by him. Now William Lerner, y'all see his picture. He's the owner of Imperial Parking, which is now called M-Park. Pretty much any parking deck that you go to is going to be owned by M-Park. His money is super long, and her being with him allowed her to be able to rub shoulders with a lot of the elite. The last picture I was able to find of them together was from 2010, and she was at a charity event. I saw pictures of Mary J. Blige with her husband and his alleged side chick, Marjorie Harvey, Gayle King, and then you scroll all the way down, and then who do you have? You have the Lerners, Alex and William. Now I'm not sure what happened to their relationship or why they ended up divorcing, but he ended up getting with a supermodel who accused him of giving her herpes in 2012, and she wanted $5 million from him, and he offered her $700 for her doctor bill. I'm not sure if he allegedly contracted herpes before or after his divorce with Alex, but that could be the reason why they split. I just don't see her leaving that much money. She then ends up getting with this man, Dart Coaxum, who goes by the name Harlem Gatsby. Now he's a big-time restaurateur who has millions of dollars. Now he took her to a club one night and he found a credit card on the floor. He gave it to the guy that it belongs to and then demanded a drink from the guy. The guy was like, "No, I'm not giving you a drink." So anyway, they ended up seeing each other again at a deli, and the guy jumped into the Harlem Gatsby's face, and Miss Alexandra tried to break it up. It wasn't going down, but anyway, the guys ended up fighting later on, and Dart Coaxum beat him up so bad that the guy can no longer feed himself or do anything for himself right now. He's pretty much brain damaged. Coaxum ended up doing 15 months, and Miss Alexandra wasn't trying to wait, so she was on to the next. Now she's with Dan, who's still married to B, and it seems like she's helping assist him with B. And I'm sorry, I don't know any woman that's in her right mind, and I do say in her right mind because I do not feel that B is. And if she agreed to this, I don't think she agreed in her right mind. I don't know any woman that would be okay with her husband's mistress assisting her in any kind of way to get better, feel comfortable, or anything. I want to know what you think about this whole story concerning B. Smith, Dan Gasby, and Alexandra Lerner. Leave a comment, and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. And before you go, don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Like this video.
You know what? Listen. Chronicle did such amazing work on that video that I decided to just use her detective skills and the receipts that she provided for us to be able to talk about that in this video. That was a lot, wasn't it? Herpes, fist fight, jail, all of this stuff. $700 for the woman's medical bill. That is savage. God. You know what? Okay, so... all right, so this is going to be a longer video because there's another clip that I want to play for you. Because a lot of what... So first of all, go and subscribe to Chronicle Speaks if you're not already subscribed to her. Out of all of the expose vloggers that are out there, I find her to be... to spill the tea with class and never messy. And it's hard to spill tea without there being a mess. You know, but I really adore her videos. So support the vloggers that you like. You know, find ways that you can support our content and share and just create community here where we support one another. Oh, so This situation is so embarrassing and it's so funky and it's so disgusting. And since then, Dan Gasby has come out. There's another tea spiller on YouTube by the name of Paris Milan. Dan Gasby called her a PayPal thought and all this other stuff, behaving in a manner that makes me question his sanity and whether or not this man is in his own right mind. Speaking of right mind, this is a teachable moment for us to be able to, there's this associate that I had she's the diva of death. She talks about death and preparing for death, etc. And she has this website called goingwithgrace.com. Her name is Alua, and she helps people get ready for their passing by filling out these questionnaires of different things that you would like to do to have your affairs in order. And this definitely seems like the type of situation where B did not have her affairs in order. Let me play this clip for you real quick. Let's look at this, and then after that we're going to jump into the full discussion, because there's so much and there's no real graceful way to attack this situation or even provide info about it without it just being just messy and awful. So let's just take a look. 3-minute clip. Come on, let's go.
A Senate committee held a hearing today on the fight against Alzheimer's disease. Former model and TV host B. Smith testified about her struggles and how she and her husband are taking action. Here's Dr. John LaPook.
B. Smith is back on the air, delivering a very personal message.
I'm B. Smith, and I suffer from Alzheimer's disease.
She and husband Dan Gasby are promoting the Brain Health Registry, which offers free online cognitive screenings. A new report by the Alzheimer's Association found only 45% of people with Alzheimer's or their caregivers are given the diagnosis by their doctor.
The reason we're doing this is to show people not to hide. You know, there's such a stigma attached to it.
The goal of the registry is to increase the number of clinical trial volunteers, especially in minority populations. Smith went public with her diagnosis last June.
Do you remember the first dish you made?
Pineapple upside down cake.
I remember from our last interview, you said one of the first things you ever made was? It was a cake.
Upside down cake.
Yes.
But the disease is eroding her short-term memory and reasoning, as shown by a terrifying incident last fall. A family member put Smith on a bus in New York City to return to their home in Sag Harbor, New York. Gasby was waiting at the other end, but Smith never showed.
I was horrified because I know that after 24 hours, the possibilities of not finding someone go up dramatically.
It turns out Smith had gotten off the bus when it stopped for other passengers just blocks from where she had boarded.
I wanted to explore a few things, see what was going on.
That night, she took a ferry to Staten Island.
I said, I'm going to get on the boat when other people were getting on the boat, and we had a fun time. Of course, my feet hurt because I had high heels.
The next morning, a family friend happened to spot Smith at a diner back in Manhattan.
Did it cross your mind that he might be worried?
No, but after that, I looked at things differently.
How so?
Nothing bad happened, so I was, but I knew better afterwards.
That you won't do that again.
That I won't, yeah. I wouldn't do that again.
Gasby says he now realizes he will need more help as the disease progresses. But he needs his wife of 22 years to feel the same.
Would that be okay for him to bring in help?
Well, I go very slowly with that one.
One reason for telling patients they have dementia is to allow time for discussion about future caregiving before reasoning is lost. Otherwise, patients may end up refusing care, and Scott, family members can be left wondering, what would their loved one have wanted?
Dr. John LaPook, thank you, Doc.
You know what? That's heavy. That's really heavy. And you know what? I'm sorry during the first clip that I chuckled when Dan was crying. Part of the reason I chuckled is because there are people who are alleging that he was fake crying. There's no way for any of us to know that. But, one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to rewind that clip and look at it again. Look inside of his eyes and see what you see behind those eyes. And then did you hear how he kind of snapped at her? He was like, and you'll never do that again. He talks about stuff about his heart sinks when the person awakens, how like there's a sunrise, there's a hell rise. Talking about how being with a person's punishment, the casualty of Alzheimer's. He talks about living his best. I'm afraid for B. How many of you out there are afraid for this woman? I'm afraid for her safety. You know, okay, so he's taking care of her now. He's living his best life, quote, best life now. You know, this is part of the reason that it's important for you to have your affairs in order. You know, she never had children of her own. But I see now the importance of, because they have a daughter that he has a daughter that B helped him raise. But when all was said and done, the daughter was on a newscast. You can see that inside some other people's videos. The daughter was in a newscast talking about how she's so happy that her father has found love, that he's moved into the house. People are saying that B. Smith is paying for all of this stuff and that this man is living off of her money with this. The whole situation is just funky. You know what? But it's like, what can we do on the outside? All of us are just talking. One, we don't know what it's like to be a full-time caregiver for a person. Two, we don't have access to the B. Smith household to be able to go in there and save B. I don't know what it is that we can do from the outside besides make these vlogs discussing it and then get called PayPal thoughts and all this other stuff in retaliation. This whole situation is just very confusing to me. It's messy, it's funky, it's disgusting. This woman, I don't personally believe that B. Scott, especially you heard inside that broadcast, how did she feel when she was partially in her right mind about even having help come in? How did she feel? She said that she would have to go very slowly with that. So did she go slow enough that once she was not in her right mind, that he went and approached her again and was like, is it okay, B? And she was like, huh? And not really knowing who he is, she probably thinks that they're now friends. And then that's another thing. If she is not in her right mind and she doesn't know what's going on and she seems well taken care of and she's healthy and happy and she thinks that maybe they're friends or roommates or living this exotic life in Sag Harbor and she's happy, oblivious and unaware, this is something that this human being Gasby is going to have to deal with when his come to reckoning happens. Let me ask you all this question. Do you think that woman Alex Lerner is going to be there for him if he got sick and wasn't able to take care of himself? And here's this. So this part of the reason that I haven't come out and spoken about this sooner is because I don't know what to say. Because our lives are important and we should be able to enjoy our lives. So there's a lot of different things that are going through my mind. So yes, Dan should be able to enjoy his life. However, he does have this commitment to this person. He doesn't feel that the commitment is till death do you part. How did she feel the commitment was? Sickness and health? I guess he was there in the health. She was married to him for 22 years. This is the man that she trusted to be the executor of her will. Speaking of will, does she have a will and testament? See, this is what we're all on the outside. What instructions did she provide for how she would like her care to be provided for her? And who is there to advocate for B? You, me, Paris, Chronicle, Lovely T, all of us, we're on the outside. We don't have access. We can't save B. So at the end of the day, we have to trust the person that B trusted. She trusted this man. And what can we do? The situation is disgusting. And it's like these people who are quote unquote in their right mind, they're going to have to come to terms with what it is that they're doing. I can imagine that this woman is having sex with this woman's husband inside of her home while she's not in her right mind. And it's disgusting. And it's sad that nobody is there to advocate for B. And I understand why people listen, it may not be, our relationships may not be perfect, our unions, how we have children may not be perfect, but I see the importance of having somebody, bringing somebody into this world, or adopting or fostering or something, but having such a bond with somebody who is going to technically supposed to live longer than you, who can be your advocator. So it's like, there's so much. My head feels like, how you try to put a pillow in a pillowcase that's too small for it. I feel like all of these ideas are just stuffed inside of my mind. And I can't, I don't know. I don't know the answer and the solution to this. I'm at a loss myself. I mean, we could sit here, we can moan and we can complain. There's a part of me that's afraid for B, but what can I do? If B turns up harmed. So like Paris was showing footage that this man is showing of B sprawled out down on the shower floor, like just not really in her right mind. And this is a woman that carried herself with such dignity. I'm mad that they cut off her locks. I'm mad they cut off her locks and let her hair go all gray. And it's like the least he could do is maintain the image that this woman, even if, the woman has money, even if you had to bring in a person to be able to do up her hair for her so that she could look and be able to live out her last days in dignity. Not to have her with her little gray fro sprawled out on the shower floor like, talking about this is the day, this is what we go through, pimping her pain on social media. But it's like at the end of the day, we're helpless in this situation as outsiders. What do we do? What can I do? It's like, because if what he's doing is not illegal, adultery is illegal, but we don't know whether or not they're adultering. And the thing is, she was married to him for 22 years. So this is not like some newcomer where she was just dating. This is the man that she chose and continued to choose over and over again for 22 years. Somebody inside, I think it was either Paris video or Lovely T, somebody's video, they talked about how B had issues with him flirting with other women while she was in her right mind. So, but this is the man she continued to choose. So what do? We got to respect B's choice at this point, because she has money, she has lawyers, she had a bit of her right mind when she found out her diagnosis. And if she knew who this man was and she knew how he got down, there are things that she could have put in place to be able to save her. Even if she was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and just go to a facility. If I'm just going to be around people that I think are friends anyway, I'm just going to go be in a facility and be around other. I don't know. I don't know. But she trusted him. So we got to trust her decision. And what else can we do? Honestly, what else can we do? I'm afraid for her, because if she turns up dead any day now, first of all, none of us can prove foul play, but looking at this funky situation and how it's going down, none of us would ever believe that it wouldn't be suspicious. None of us. He's already moved on to another woman, and the woman not dead yet. She's still there in life, and he's already moved on to the next one. And it's like, you know what? Life got something for us. At the end, when all is said and done and all the chips are settled, life has a way of making us understand. And one day, Dan Gasby is going to understand who is going to be there for him when he's older. This Alex Lerner is not going to be there. His own daughter thinks it's okay to be frolicking around with your new mistress or mister while you're in the home. So who knows what morals were instilled into his own daughter. So where do we go? Where do we go? So I don't know what to say on this. On that note, I'm gonna leave it in your hands. I'm gonna jump into the comments. You all wanted me to cover this story. I did the very best that I could. And so I'm gonna jump into the comments with you and we're gonna discuss it down there. Listen, Tonya TKO and I'm out. Go out there and love one another. But most importantly, listen, I say this every video. Most importantly, love yourself. And part of loving yourself is making sure that you have your affairs in order while you're young enough or in right mind enough to be able to get those affairs in order. And woe be upon any person out there who has children who have not developed the bond enough with their children so that when something happens to them when they're older, you're on your own, Joe. Woe be upon you. So, Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Peace.